Fire and blood is what we demand, and fire and blood is what we shall get. I'm a Rubber Duck of War, and today I'm going to be leading the forces of the Knights of Caledor, led by IMRIK the Dragon Prince, up against BBB's very own Coops and the Tomb King Legion. So the undead, of course, do have a bit of a weakness to fire, so we do have a nice little theme in our build that we have the dragon and a fire sorcerer as well. But let's go through the whole build as a whole before we get to IMRIK, Prince of all Dragons. On the flanks, we do have some spearmen, as well as a couple in the front and in the rear position, just to bog down the enemy, and our Lord and Eagle core is relatively expensive, so we've had to cut some corners and go pretty cheap with the rest of our ground forces. So spearmen dotted all the way around, a couple of rangers in the front central pocket, where some of the fighting is going to be the hardest, and one in deep reserve as well. We have triple bolt thrower just to counter Ushopti great bows. I'm so scared of Ushopti, I have such bad memories of them, particularly with IMRIK being such a slow and ponderous dragon up in the sky. We needed these bad boys just to ensure that we can counter the enemy long range, and they're pretty decent at tying down casket souls, characters, and chariots. Up in the sky, we do have a great eagle looking absolutely beautiful. I don't know if they ever changed the model for this, or if I just never really appreciated it, but it seems to have this like a red glow around it almost, and it looks really quite beautiful. But alongside him, even more beautiful, is IMRIK, Prince of all Dragons, coming in with his glorious fire-breathy breath. He also has the Lord of Dragons, Dragonhorn, and Star Lance. When you go IMRIK, you go full in. You don't go halfway. You don't bring some of his items. No, you go full chub, all items on top of the dragon, and go as Chad as possible. We are bringing double caster today. If you're bringing IMRIK, you're almost always going to want a regrowth or at least an earth blood. So we do have a mage of life magic to do just that. And next turn we have a mage of fire coming in with burning head. It's just so useful up against the forces of the undead, and really beautiful color schemes. You can see that depending on which mage you pick, their colors actually do change in battle. And I must admit, the Knights of Caledor color scheme is pretty beautiful. For the forces of the Tomb Kings, there's a few big threats to me. I'm very scared of this double skeleton chariot. We're starting to push ahead of the rest of the battle line, backed up by a load of horsemen. Looks like we have 3 units, and there is an insane amount of Tomb Guard. We have Tomb Guard, you guessed it, some skeleton warriors mixed in, but even more Tomb Guard just past them. A couple of skeleton warriors, everything else here is Tomb Guard, including the Kepper Guard on the far side of the Regiment of Renown. That is a lot of infantry for me to grind through, and they're certainly going to be able to chew up my spearmen. However, IMRIK's not looking too bad. I was worried there might be some sneaky snakes hidden in the back, but the main threats today to the mighty IMRIK are going to be the Lord and Hero core. We have the High Queen Khalida. She's a melee expert with poison attacks, and if she is supported by the Tomb Prince, they can really bring some nasty pain. They synergize quite nicely together. Of course, the High Queen poisoning, and the Tomb Prince giving her Guardian and coming in with that anti-large. We also have a Leech Priest here of Nekahara, going to be coming in with the Incantation of Protection and Incantation of Cursed Blades. Pretty awesome stuff to actually see this priest brought into action. You don't get to see them terribly often. Without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Now, the bolt throwers have already unleashed a couple of deadly salvos. We've done some damage to the Tomb Prince. My opponent decided to pull back, so instead, I'm focusing down those chariots, because the chariots can kill basically all my infantry, overrun onto equal or bolt throwers, and do some pretty nasty damage. At this point, realistically, this front line should be getting pushed forward, but a mistake by me here. Want to be taking the fight as far away from our bolt throwers as physically possible, but I was microing my IMRIK as well as my Great Eagle in the sky, trying to see if I could find any of those pesky snakes hiding behind my enemy front line. The bolts are consistently bouncing between different targets just to stop my opponent from really knowing and which one I'm targeting and which ones he can juke. He does pop a lovely Incantation of Protection, so we're simply going to be switching on to the chariots once more. And this is where the Eagle comes into play. I'm looking to pin in these chariots with our mass and hopefully bog as many down as possible so we can bring the pain. And this poor chariot is getting its eyes gouged out by the Great Eagle, or at least where its eyes would have once been. IMRIK is jumping on the other unit of chariots, and the Rangers are just about holding firm. 1 unit of chariots down, 1 to go. The Hero core is trying to bomb rush over to the Eagle and IMRIK, so I'm very swiftly going to be getting out of the danger zone and back up into the sky. That Hero core, if I can fight it isolated, is the way to go, but fighting them together won't be too nice. The front lines aren't quite fully underway yet. The skeleton chariots did push in, and unfortunately for them, got overwhelmed, but now in comes the mighty charge as Elves fight against the undead in the fight of life and death. Kepper Guard certainly going to be winning that fight. Death, at the end of the day, does eventually claim us all. The Tomb Prince is getting absolutely obliterated from all sides, pinned in by the Eagle, and then all the bolt throws are aiming at him and just obliterated him in one go. I was really left speechless by the amount of HP he was getting dropped. IMRIK comes in just to finish him off. Although a lovely rear attack does come in by the High Queen, she is isolated and alone up against the double single entities. Starlance is popped. We're also going to be trying to debuff the High Queen with Lord of Dragons. She does have incantation protection on her, however, and she's actually trading really effectively up against IMRIK, doing some massive damage. But my opponent is trying to swoop in with the Horseman, but overrun my bolt throws in the back, and you can see he's doing a good job. A little bit of a lapse by me, those spearmen not coming back in time. Luckily, I have that regrowth to keep IMRIK nice and topped up, because it was a relatively even trade. All the bolt throws are now focusing down at the priest instead, and the High Queen has found herself in an engagement she really doesn't want to be in whatsoever. If the Tomb Prince was here, it'd be great. This is how you take apart a hero core. You kind of drag them out of position and go after them one after the other. Incantation of Cursed Blades does go down. A lovely little poison venom shot goes into the Rangers, and it does look like the front line has buckled for us. Horsemen, everyone rushing to the aid of the Queen, but they did it a few seconds too late, and down she goes. IMRIK, a fantastic assassin of all things glorious. The Spearmen are going to be falling back, and it looks like the Kepler Guard up to 64 kills, taken basically 0 damage. They do, of course, have that regeneration, and now going to be moving in onto the Spearmen to try to decapitate the pointy-eared Princes. Rangers again overwhelmed as well. Skeleton Warriors and Tomb Guard doing a fantastic job, but this is where the Burning Head does come into play. It is Overclass roasting 2 units of Tomb Guard. Basic, oh no, one I think was Skeleton Warriors, so a little less epic, but hey, completely gets rid of that unit of Skeleton Warriors. There's massive damage to this Tomb Guard, and we might be able to catch these other units as well, doing a little bit of damage, but unfortunately nowhere near as much as we did do on those first couple of units. We also do miss a Kepler Guard there. My front line has been busted, though. We have Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors and Horsemen starting to force their way back into the squishy elements of my build. Eagle Claw bolt throws are being overrun quite badly. I think all 3 of them are currently shut down, or at least rallying in the distance, trying to catch a breather before coming back into fight once more. Horsemen do try to goon out my major fire. Luckily, I had some Rangers nearby, and though they're not anti-large, they do absolutely fine up against the Horsemen, who don't have the greatest stats, and in this kind of contained combat, we should be able to win relatively comfortably before the mage goes down. A big nasty breath attack goes down on the Kepler Guard. Unfortunately, not getting the cleanest connection. We are going to bomb dive them and pop Lord of Dragons on them, nuking their stats to 1 melee attack and 19 melee defense. IMRIK, knowing he's safe, my opponent tries to whip out the old trap card, and it's going to be summoning some Shopti just behind IMRIK. Luckily, I am able to retreat, and I spot it, trying to pull back as quickly as possible to the safety of my other units. At this point, we can simply float to the other side of the battlefield and start bomb rushing the Horsemen. Looks like that major fire did actually go down and start to rout. Luckily, the Horsemen will be paying for it with their lives, and IMRIK is floating over just to ensure they don't try anything nasty, for example, like chasing down the mage themselves. Tomb Guard looking very healthy in the front, still 88 models, 77 models. That is a lot of Tomb Guard. It's pretty damn scary, and the bounce power is relatively even at the moment, but remember, these Shopti are on the field. They're going to be looking to get to grips with the Rangers. The Great Eagle did get stuck for a while in engaged combat, pinned in by Horsemen, and it's going to be fleeing from the battlefield, but there's a good chance it might be able to come back. IMRIK's going to take himself and go the complete opposite side of the engagement from the Shopti where possible, and to start bomb rushing the Tomb Guard, trying to drag them down. Now, it's very important I fight with my own troops to get that little bit of support, make sure not every model in the unit is attacking IMRIK. Some of them are getting messed up, and using this tactic, we're able to relatively effectively break up these Tomb Guard. Up to 49 kills now of IMRIK, but I do see these Shopti starting to beeline towards me, so I'm going to be getting up into the air and once again back to safety. Now, the Bouncer Power likes me quite a bit, mainly because we have a Lord and our opponent doesn't, but if you have an overarching view of the battlefield, things are starting to look pretty bleak for us. Almost all of our infantry is running away. We do have all our bolt throw crews back, but none of them are able to get near those bolts. We do have the double hero, which is quite nice, those 2 casters, and I do actually have a decent amount of Winds of Magic. I'm trying to find the opportune moment to do a lovely Burning Head. Instead, though, we get a beautiful, beautiful breath attack down the line on the Kepler Guard, roasting them, and now is the time. Now is the hour. Riders of Calador, take oaths you have taken into glorious battle, and IMRIK charges down. Should be able to dispatch the Kepler Guard relatively effectively. There's a load of Tomb Guard coming for a surround, which is a little bit scary. IMRIK is up to 79 kills, though. We do have the mages nearby. The Great Eagles are coming, trying to assist where possible, but Yeah, not much leadership, down to 660 HP. Probably should have dropped to regrowth on the big bird, but it's going to be coming down at least to try to kill 1 or 2 more enemies before it does, unfortunately, itself go into the unknown void of death. Now, the Tomb Guards do a fantastic job. IMRIK does have Star Lance popped, giving a better weakness to fire to his enemies and imbuing that fire damage. And, of course, the Kepa Guard with that regeneration aren't going to be liking that too much. Some rather brave spearmen, 25 of them, do charge in, spears load, and a rather slumps charge there. Kind of start poking the enemy. Their shields looking beautiful as they get rear attacked and chopped to pieces. Hey, you did your job. You helped protect IMRIK, although it does look like the eagle has unfortunately shattered, going back to its nest to rest once more. Eagle Bolt Thrower is actually starting to move back. I did notice that this Bolt Thrower was relatively safe over on this left-hand side. My opponent was really beelining, trying to assassinate IMRIK, but we're going to be getting back up into the air once more. We've got Spearmen coming in, Bolt Thrower crews as well starting to rally, and the Mages are on the warpath and the approach. Once we get the Bolt Thrower crew back onto their artillery piece, we're going to be in a fantastic position. Spearmen go for a glorious charge of death into this unit of Tomb Guard, trying to pin them in for IMRIK to swoop in, and in the distance you can see the majestic dragon coming forward for a gruesome breath attack down the line, destroying so many enemies. Look at the dead and dying. Looks like the Tomb Guard not liking that too much whatsoever. May actually start to crumble soon with IMRIK swooping in to dish out the pain. Actually, they're holding surprisingly well, which is pretty impressive. We do manage to get the Bolt Thrower crew back online. We're going to be switching them up to a spread shot and going after the Kepa Guard and other Tomb Guard, just trying to whittle down the numbers. But I think the army losses is looking pretty nasty for the Tomb Kings. IMRIK is just simply too Chad, and I'm not allowing my mages to be caught. I do have enough for an overcast regrowth or burning head, just waiting for that time. It never came in the end, so at the end, let's just give IMRIK a little pat on the head, give him a regrowth. Let him know he did a pretty decent job today. It shall be a Pyrrhic victory here for the Knights of Caledor, but I think they did a solid job all around. IMRIK being the true Chad with 3,674 damage value, really carrying the day alongside that eagle, managing to assassinate my enemy's lords, and then just abusing them with the breath attacks, the burning heads. It was really juicy and fiery. Well played to Coops though, really lovely dude. We're having a chat before battle and during the battle. If you ever run into him on quick battles, always say hello. Very nice guy. I believe he's actually in my Discord as well. He popped in after this battle, representing Clan BBB. Very proud there. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will delve into the damage dealt, damage value, and kills of all these units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. Both things help out the channel hugely, and commenting it down below does that as well. So let me know what you thought of the battle, what you'd like to see in the future, or simply yell quack at me over and over again until I do transform my mind into a big old sludge pile of duck feathers and quacks. There's a load of links down below in the description. One to my Twitch where I do additional content. Might do a Twitch stream today. It's unlikely now. It's getting a little bit late in the day, but I'll definitely do some during the week. Now we're back to more of our regular program of streaming. Also links down below to my Discord where you can submit replays and donations and all that kind of standard YouTube-y stuff. But yeah, if you feel free to check it out if you want, but no pressure. As for my own forces, yeah, IMRIK, 143 kills, over 17k damage dealt, always focusing down characters or Tomb Guard. Did such a good job, and he had a lot left in the tank with those regrowths. He could have been healed up basically to full again and come in as a glorious Dragon Lord of Vengeance. Major fire, 97 kills. The first burning head wasn't great. The second one was devastating. 963 damage value, over 10k damage dealt. And the Major Life did a decent job just healing up when needed. We did have quite a lot of magic reserves in the back pocket. Spearmen held the line for as long as they could. The most impressive units getting 40 and 61 kills. 560 damage value was their highlight. For the Rangers, they did okay. Again, 80 kills, 28 kills, 5 kills. It's a mixed bag. Once we got them engaged with the Skeleton Warriors, they do fine, but Tomb Guard simply were a little bit too elite for them, and their damage value does represent that in the 400s and 500 range. But Eagle did fantastic. It's very swift and does pretty decent work on the punch on when it comes swooping down to land. 18 kills, 1,358 damage value. Yeah, very well done indeed. A nice companion for IMRIK up in the sky. Earclaw bolt throwers, 560, 650, and 700 damage value. We did make the mistake of kind of fighting on top of our artillery rather than way in front of it, when after we realized our opponent didn't have that much to whip around the flanks apart from the cavalry, and we were dealing with the chariots well, but they still did a good job assassinating key targets and applying a lot of pressure to Coops to force him to engage as quickly as possible, and then we were able to take advantage of that with the burning heads and the breath attacks. High Queen Cleader, 1,853 damage value. Love to see her in action. Think she performed quite well. She just couldn't quite fight alongside the Tomb Prince, who got 620 value. If these two had been able to stick together a little bit more, they certainly would have overwhelmed IMRIK and dragged him down. But as it was, if you fight alone, you die alone. And the priest did an okay job, but likewise, a similar situation. That triple bolt thrower turning on the Tomb Prince was a work of beauty, having him die so quickly. Skeleton Warriors didn't do too much. Tomb Kings, or the Tomb Guard, 102, 69, 68, and 52 kills is pretty impressive. 568, 330, 1020, and 280 damage value. A very mixed bag. 1175 damage value, however, and 163 kills. Once again, proving that the Kepler Guard are kind of a little bit of a league of their own, just a bit better than the other brothers there. The cavalry did decent. 630, 800, and 700 damage value, shutting down my bolt throws in the mid-stage of the battle. Unfortunately, the chariots were countered relatively early on, and that's just due to my hatred of chariots. I'm like, oh no, PTSD, I've got to kill them as quickly as possible. We really focused them down with the eagle, as well as focused them down with IMRIK and the bolt throwers. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace, and as always, stay awesome.